Hi, I thought we'd have a go at the beak next. It's a slightly tricky bit, but it really consists of only 5 colours. So I've looked at it, and the way I think is the easiest thing to do is again to draw it out on a separate piece of parchment paper. In fact, drawn it out twice. And I'm going to build my pattern on here and then I'm going to put it in here. I have put this little black piece in already. I did that when I did these other two black bits. So that bit's in there. So that's that gap in there. So I've looked at it quite carefully, and I think the easiest bit to first do is this bit here, which is the brown bit. And that's what I'm going to use. Don't know if you can see that is brown. And I'm going to, in fact what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw this out on the other side. Because it's a slightly tricky bit to cut, I've got to make sure I get the right bit. This bit here. I'm going to draw it out. On the back. Okay, and then I'm actually going to stick this straight onto my parchment paper, and then from the back I'm going to cut it out, so I'm not having to hold it. Just make sure that I cover all of the bit I need to cover. So that's the back, so you can see I've just about got enough to cover that over. And then I'm going to iron it so it's stuck down a bit. There we go, and then I can cut it out much easier. Cut that off. So I can cut it out much easier like that. I haven't got to hold on to bits. Then get some nice sharp edges. And then I'll be able to peel it off with the parchment paper. And stick it on to the other one that I've drawn around. Come out that little bit, there we go. There we go. So there it is, cut out. Not too difficult. And then just gonna take it off the parchment paper again. And then I'm going to stick it on to my other copy. There we go. And just roughly so that it's on there, and then that piece is done. And then I'm going to do this piece in here next, which I can peel off. Hopefully I can peel this off here. Yeah, I don't need round anymore. And just make sure that I'm getting the right bit again. Where are we? There we go. So I'm going to do this bit here, which is the bit here. This runs just under this black edge piece as well. This bit's a fairly simple bit to cut out, so I'm not going to bother sticking it on. I can just hold it on to my piece of fabric and cut it out. But if you do have tricky bits to cut out, that's a great way of doing it, just sticking it onto your parchment paper. out and then go back and cut it out. There we go, it comes away from there. Just go back and cut the bee out. And again, peel it off. Stick it on to my big pattern. Not my big pattern. My little tiny beak down here. So I'm just going to pull that up a bit so that this can go under. Could cut it a bit bigger than that. It'd be fine. There we go. So that's where we are at the moment. And then I'm going to do this piece here, which is this white piece. And I'm just going to draw around that again because I could have gone a little bit higher. I've drawn it a little bit, just slightly smaller than I should have done, this orangey bit. So I'm going to bring my white bit to join that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another drawing of that and make it slightly bigger so that it comes down. There we go. And find the piece of fabric I was going to use is white, slightly shiny. Just go over here. Again, it's a fairly simple piece, so I'm just going to hold it on, cut it out. Okay, peel it off. And stick it on where we want it. And then the hardest bit that would have been to cut out, which is this bit that runs all around here. I don't actually need to really cut it out very much because I'm just going to fit it behind all the other colours. So I'm just going to take a rough, obviously because I've got this edge here, this edge needs to be accurate. The rest doesn't particularly need to be accurate, although I'm just going to be fairly accurate where it runs across the white, otherwise, because the white's not a very thick piece, it might show up underneath it. But if you can see, I've just drawn straight across there because I'm going to fit it behind all of that. I'm going to fit it behind this bit that comes through the middle. And this grey bit is the only bit that I chose quite carefully because I want it to, obviously I chose all my colours carefully, but particularly I wanted it to stand out away from this light grey, so I've gone for a slightly darker grey than it appears on there, just so that it sticks out a little more. Just, you know, with your colours, just look at them, what they're going up against. You don't have to stick religiously to the colours that are in the pattern, but just look carefully to see what's going to work together well, what needs to stand out more, what needs to blend in better. Okay, so there it is. And that's going to sit there. No, it's going to sit under all of that, but that's roughly where it's going to go. So I need to carefully get this bit up, just very carefully. I don't want it all to come off, otherwise you've got to try and There we go, it's all come off. This is going to fit right in there. Just look on the back to see that it's fitting pretty well. Yeah, quite happy with that. And before I put the brown bit on, I'm just going to glue this down, just so I haven't got to keep holding it all on. And then the brown bit, I can then just place back where it needs to go. And it kind of looks like I've done a really fiddly job there, but in fact it's not that fiddly. I've just got a little bit of grey sticking out there. So what I can do is when I peel it off, I can just snip that back again. Okay, and then that is going to, the whole thing is then going to fit behind everything else. Again, I'm going to pull all these bits up and slide it in. And then glue it down. And it looked as though that was going to be a difficult bit. But you see, you can break it down and it ends up being fairly, I'll just move this down a bit so you can see it. Ends up being a fairly easy piece to put in. I just need to put in this little bit here, and I just need to finish off this wing. It's not terribly well stuck down. Just need to finish off that little gap in there, and then maybe we'll go on to some feet, or possibly finish this bit in here. I did put this piece in because it was just a plain bit, and I put this piece in. Again, all I did was I carefully cut that edge. The rest of it is all just fitted in behind, so it didn't have to be particularly carefully cut. Okay, so that's today, and I'll see you another day.